And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of Conservative Arkansas Media. My name is Paul Harrell. Really appreciate you tuning in. So back in September of 2023, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders called a special session to cut taxes. And she also attempted to change the state's rigorous Freedom of Information Act. I say attempt because she was partly successful in at least getting some of what she wanted, but not all. The sweeping changes that were proposed alarmed both Republicans and Democrats, and the Republican-dominated House of Representatives revolted last year and refused to gut Arkansas's FOIA laws. When the governor finally signed the new law that contained some changes, again, to FOIA, the general consensus was that those who want to go further would be back next time and try again to alter the way in which citizens can gain access to government secrets. The idea that the Arkansas legislature will once again try to, quote, reform, end quote, Arkansas's FOIA laws has sparked the birth of Arkansas Citizens for Transparency. It's also sparked the birth of a ballot initiative aiming to permanently enshrine elements of Arkansas's existing FOIA law into the state constitution. The ballot initiative would also set up new government entities as well, and we'll talk more about that. One of the backers of this ballot initiative is a friend of the program. Attorney Joey McCutchen is back with us and joins us now to talk more about this. Joey, how are you on this fine afternoon, sir?
Doing well, doing real well.
Good.
Looking forward to discussing what I consider to be the most important initiative that this state has ever seen.
Well, so talk a little bit about you were kind of there at the Capitol when the special session went on last year, and you were trying to stop the gutting of Freedom of Information Act laws. Were you surprised when the Republicans in the House of Representatives decided not to play ball and decided not to just, rubber stamp these massive FOIA changes?
Well, I don't think I was necessarily surprised, but I think it was more a select few of freshman representatives who were not playing ball. And I was very proud of that group of freshman representatives who would not suspend rules and would not gut our Freedom of Information Act.
Okay, so you're talking about those freshmen they hadn't gotten the memo yet. they were freshmen and they didn't understand that, hey, you needed to fall in line and toe the line. That's what you're saying.
It is, but again, I think they went into this session, Republicans who dominate the legislature. I think they went into that special session thinking that they were going to do what the governor asked. And I don't think they were given the details of what it meant to pass a deliberative process amendment. And I think there were a couple of very courageous Republicans who stood up. And then I think the rest of them showed the courage that they needed to show to tell the governor, we're not sacrificing our right to know for your agenda.
Okay, so obviously we remember the headlines at that time, or at least I do. They were saying originally this was about the governor's security detail and things like that. And that was part of the bill. But can you talk about the other parts of it that were, what would that have fundamentally meant if they had been successful? How would that have significantly changed the freedom of information? How we as citizens get access to our government's information?
Yeah, I don't speak in hyperbole when I say that it would have gutted open records in Arkansas. What a deliberative process exemption means is that we would not see the sausage making. That is, as policy was being created on a state level, we would not be able to see it as it transpired. The only thing we would see would be the final product. So we wouldn't be able to see the memos. We wouldn't be able to see the deliberative process. And that's a dangerous proposition. All we would see is the final product. All they would have to do is CC the government lawyer and lo and behold, the people don't see the documents. We don't know who's behind that particular policy. And it would have literally changed the complexion of our complete open records law.
Yeah, I can understand why there was such an opposition to that. I mean, as a journalist, and I think I said this the last time I have you on. I mean, as any journalist out there would not be for these types of changes because, well, ideally you're supposed to speak truth to power. There's not a lot of journalists that do that anymore, but you would totally be against these types of changes, I would imagine. All right, so tell us about Arkansas Citizens for Transparency. So we are anticipating that in the next legislative session, or who knows, maybe there's going to be another special session called, but we're anticipating in 2025, January, the next legislative session is going to take place, and you're anticipating these changes, that these people took one bite at the apple and they're going to get a second bite. They're going to try to do this again for whatever the reasons are, and you're trying to get this on the ballot to enshrine Freedom of Information Act protections into the Arkansas State Constitution. Tell us about it.
Yeah, can I very quickly say one additional comment about what I consider to be the gutting of our Freedom of Information Act?
Absolutely.
It just wasn't the special session. I mean, this has been going on for years, but this past legislative session, look, they tried to pass an open meeting bill, which would have allowed 1/3 of our local governing bodies like school board, JPs, city councils, 1/3 of those fit folks to meet in the back of McDonald's, on secret email chains, on text message chains, 1/3. And then we know that when those 5 meet, then one of them will split off and meet with more. So they were attempting to gut not only open records, but also open meetings. And literally, the last legislative session would have taken us from one of the strongest Freedom of Information Acts in the country to the weakest. So the people spoke up. The people showed up in mass at the Capitol, and they said, we're not standing for this. They forced us to bring this constitutional amendment/act to the people.
So Arkansas Citizens for Transparency, ballot initiatives are tough. Talk about the language, right? I mean, the language has finally been approved, correct? And that obviously had to go through Attorney General Tim Griffin's office. Was Tim Griffin a proponent of the changes that were proposed that didn't go through last time in the special session?
I would say Tim Griffin is not a fan of a strong transparency laws. Now, whether he was doing his job or not, certainly our process is that it goes through the Attorney General. But I thought that the product that was produced was very clear and was not misleading. The Attorney General, for example, he made us change the word transparency in our proposal, acting as if the people would not understand what the word transparency meant. So it went from transparency to disclosure, and to me, that's not good faith. I think the people of Arkansas are smart enough to know what transparency.
Well, maybe he
meant.
thought, everything is trans these days, Joey. So maybe that was he didn't want it to be confused with the LGBTQ issues of the day. Am I giving him the benefit of the doubt here? Is it a giant bag of infinite benefit of the doubt?
Well, we had to go through multiple versions to get to the final product, and every day that we lose is a day that we were not able to get signatures. We've got to get 90,000 on the constitutional amendment by July 5th. We've got to get 70,000 plus by July 5th on the act.
So talk about that. Why are there two positions? People need to understand this. So if you want this on the ballot, they're going to have to sign two different petitions, correct?
They are. They're going to have to sign one, which is the constitutional amendment. The other is to the act, which has the substance in it. Both of them are critical, in my opinion, to guarantee that Arkansas will absolutely be the gold standard of right to know laws, of transparency laws in the nation.
What are your thoughts on the criticism? The plain devil's advocate here, the criticism that, hey, this will set up some new bureaucracies.
Well, number one, this is going to set up a people's commission. What we have to understand is that this entire constitutional amendment and act was of the people. Literally, we went to town hall after town hall across this state, and we got the people's idea. And one of those ideas was a people's commission. That is a commission that would hear denial of our rights in terms of FOIA. They would hear this these cases. So what that means is this People's Commission, what it will allow is no longer will the people need to go hire Joey McCutchen for their lawyer to start off with. They can go directly to this commission without paying any costs, without paying attorney fees, and the commission will hear their FOIA case. Again, without having a lawyer involved, without having to pay attorney fees, without having to pay costs. So this is a people's commission. It's born of the people. If they are not pleased with the commission's decision, then they have the absolute right to take that to hire a lawyer, to take their case to the circuit court. And if they don't want to take it to the People's Commission in the beginning, then they can go directly to circuit court. To me, as a guy who hates bureaucracy, this is the people's decision. This is what the people wanted, and it's going to help the people. It's not just government bureaucracy.
Well, so
this is a commission.
Can you walk us through the commission?
Of the people.
How do you walk us through the commission? How is it set up? Who decides who gets to be on the commission and have this power?
Yeah, very, very good question. We went through a couple of versions of who makes the choices, as to who will be on the commission, and the Attorney General had some ideas in that, and I thought his ideas were well placed. So what the final version said is that the President of the Senate will get to choose a person on the commission. The minority leader of the Senate will get to choose a person. And the same thing will happen in the House. The Speaker of the House will have a choice. The minority leader in the House will have a choice. And then the media will also get to pick a person to serve on the committee.
Oh, great. So you're saying I'm going to get to pick, I'm going to get to, I nominate myself. No, just joking. But how does that work? Which media outlet gets to decide that? Do we know that yet?
Yeah, I don't think I don't have a clear understanding of that. But I think it's a great idea because no one cares more about the Freedom of Information Act than the press, than the media. But what this guarantees is that you're going to have a diverse range of folks from Bart Hester, for example. I don't consider him to be pro FOIA in the least bit, but he will have, if he is the president pro tem of the Senate, he will have a choice. And then obviously the minority leader, which will probably be a Democrat, will have a choice. So, and these folks who at least three of these folks will be lawyers who have formerly served as judges. And then the fourth one will be a person who is very knowledgeable about FOIA, and then the media will have their choice. So I think it will be a great diverse group of folks who will serve on the commission and do the people's work. And let me just say this. Uh, I've heard the concern that government, for example, a school district, they may receive very onerous FOIA requests for thousands of documents. The government can now go before this commission and get a schedule where it lengthens the time that they have to respond to a FOIA request. So it benefits both sides. Now the government's going to have to give a reason why they need that. They just can't willy nilly. And there will be a time, no more than 30 days, in which they have to respond. So this will help. This will help not only the people, but also it'll help good government. And there are times when government needs more time to respond to a record request, and this People's Commission will allow just that.
Does it also prevent what you were talking about earlier with the proposal to essentially redo what's considered a public meeting? I understand there has been an effort in the past in Little Rock to try to define legally, in legal terms, what constitutes a public meeting, and there have been, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, there's been resistance to that idea.
Yeah, I've been involved over the past decade for trying to get the legislature to do their job and define what a public meeting is. As we currently sit, the Supreme Court has, on a case-by-case basis, determined what a public meeting is. So the legislature just has not done their job. As recently as last session, we proposed a definition. They wouldn't even hear it. So yes, in this in the act portion of of uh, of this initiative, it will define what a meeting is, and it will be very clear to both the people and to governing bodies. And I think that's critical because right now, people in the state of Arkansas, rightfully so, have no idea what a public meeting is because the Supreme Court has over time uh, given various appellate decisions, which has clouded what a meeting is in Arkansas.
Yeah, and so you referenced that. You referenced this a second ago, where you said that right now there's the situation where, and I think if memory serves correct, I think there was some Pope County, maybe it was the school board in Pope County several years ago that it was alleged that they were having meetings on the back end where you're not supposed to talk about state business unless it's in a public meeting where people can understand. But of course, the idea is that is probably happening all the time, right? Where I guess the point is where when you finally get to the public meeting, and this happens if you always feel this. You feel it a lot of times in the state legislature, and that's because we can't see their communications. Like when they're talking about laws and stuff and making the sausages, we can't see their emails, right? That they're exempt from this as a legislative body. But a lot of times you go to a city council meeting, the fix is in. There is no real debate. You kind of feel like that the mayor and the city councilman, they've all met before and they've already decided what they are going to do. So it's this giant predetermined outcome. And then citizens show up to try to actually convince them, and we get nowhere because they've already made agreements behind closed doors. We're trying to stop that. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's absolutely correct. I tried the case yesterday where the mayor of the city of Hoxie said that on an important decision that the board had met before the meeting and had made the decision without the public, without the public being able to view those discussions. And that's what happens. You see it time after time where there's a motion made, a second made, no discussion, and it's a unanimous vote. And right then that this has already been decided on some secret email chain, some text message chain, or in the back of McDonald's.
I like that in the back of McDonald's. All right, well, so tell us what do people need to do if they want to sign these 2 petitions? They want to do this. What do they need to do, Joey? Where's the website? Where can they get petitions across the state?
Yeah, so in virtually every town in Arkansas, local newspapers are serving as the hub for getting petitions, and for when you get the petitions filled out, bringing them back and dropping them off at local newspapers. As you mentioned, you have to sign to get the full package. You're going to have to sign both. You're going to have to sign both petitions. One, which will be the constitutional amendment, and in that particular constitutional amendment, what this is going to do is create and enshrine in our Constitution a right to transparency. And then the other side that they will need to sign is the act, which will have the substance. For example, it will define what a public meeting is, as we've discussed. It will create the People's Commission. And probably most importantly, it will put teeth in our Freedom of Information Act and require that if a mayor or other folks violate our rights, then they can be personally held accountable for $1,000 penalty, civil penalty. FOIA currently has no teeth, so what this act will do will be create a civil penalty in which the bad actor will be personally responsible for $1,000 civil penalty, and that'll stop people from violating our FOIA rights. And it will also, in my opinion, will organically require that our governing bodies go through training.
Wow. I mean, Joey, I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer, only because of what the legislature seems to, say that they want to do, right? So this is a response to that. It's an interesting situation, and you just got to wonder, I mean, are there going to be any legislators get on board with this? Are the people going to want that? But yeah, it's something that we're going to watch here closely and continue to cover it. And folks, you heard it. If you want to sign the petition, you can go to where your local newspaper is, and they've got them. And you can also turn them in there after they're done, and make sure you pay attention to the rules, because you got to make sure that you got one petition, and anybody that signs that petition's got to live in the same county, right? So make sure that you stay organized.
And I have one final comment, Paul.
Yes, sir.
I think it's very important. I think we're seeing a strong undercurrent of legislators who are sitting on the fence. And I think we have got to go to our legislators and show them a petition and ask them to sign that petition. Because I think that many legislators are concerned by the power of the governor, and the governor needs to state her position on this case, on this initiative as well. There's nothing more important in our democracy than the Freedom of Information Act, than the people being able to see public discussions of our business, and the people being able to access our records.
I certainly agree with you, Joey McCutchen, and appreciate you coming on Conservative Arkansas Media this week. And keep us posted. Anytime you got a message to get out as this story develops, you want to make sure you let us know. Okay.
I'll sure do it. I appreciate you. Thanks for all you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you, folks. That's all the time that we have for this week's edition. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.